And just as we mentioned, these two players, Sean Plott and Sherwin Mahbod, will be playing on Paranoid Android. And we are waiting for the countdown to start. We are in the staging area for this first map matchup between these two players. Best 2 out of 3 here.
You know, to be honest with you, I'm really wondering if Sean's been able to pull this one off. Yosh is quite possibly the most creative player I've ever seen. I mean, I know when I wasn't quite his caliber, I used to watch, I used to study his games, I used to see what was he going to do on this map, what's his mindset. And he's always been a player that's been able to come up with something new that the rest of the world hasn't seen yet.
So do you think that he can come up with these new strategies that nobody has seen on the fly right in the middle of a match that has the status this one does?
Well, this is going to be Yosh's first Terran versus Zerg game, and I do believe that's where his creativity shines. On a more interesting note as well, though, Day is the fastest non-Korean in the world. This guy has literally 350 actions per minute.
That is massive. I was watching Sean earlier, and he was absolutely smoking the keyboard. If you guys have never seen StarCraft actually played, you're watching what's on the screen. What you see on the screen is 5 times slower than what is actually happening on the keyboard, and it's absolutely amazing to watch.
If we put this on the big screen, you people would have motion sickness, believe me. I mean, it's a good thing
we'd have to hand out bags to the audience.
I'm also very interested to see if Yosh can come up with something creative, because these two players were also landing in practice with some other clanmates before this happened. So I'm wondering if Sean's perhaps seen what Yosh might be trying, if he's going to go mech this game, his classic strategy, if he's going to play more standard medic marine, which is what you normally do against Zerg. We'll have to see.
I was speaking with your brother earlier, talking about the whole practice issue, and he says you guys get a lot of practice at home playing against one another. He says it's nice to have that level of practice, and a lot of players don't have that.
Yeah, you know, I have to say I'm very fortunate. You know, StarCraft is an extremely popular game, but the United States is perhaps the country where it is least appreciated. Korea, this game is played on TV. There are 3 TV stations where they just broadcast StarCraft like it's football. I mean, in Germany, I hear it's going to be playing on TV very soon. There's leagues all over the world. This is a game that, you know, while it's old, it's so old that anyone, anywhere in the world can play it at the competitive level.
Or pick it up in a used bin, take it home. And
yeah, absolutely right. It's a $5 game these days. I mean, anybody can play it. It's a game for anybody.
And we are just waiting for the green light to go here. It appears we're having a few technical difficulties. We will have those sorted out very shortly.
I believe the players are just waiting for the okay to go.
New headphones.
Oh, new headphones.
That is quite an important aspect of the game, sound.
Yeah, but it's always been, you know, a very great advantage for my brother and I that we've been able to live together and practice together, because, I mean, discussing StarCraft strategies and just, you know, sitting over at lunch and talking about things really makes all the difference in the world. I'm wondering if Yosh has any friends of his own that he can kind of have that same experience with. I know Sean's been very, very excited to see if he can make it to the finals. He was very sure that no matter who made it to the finals, whether it was Yosh, whether it was Franz, whether it was Wisdom, that he was basically going to be against a Terran player. So he's been ready for Terran ever since.
And we have been given the okay. The green light is a go. And finally, we're going to bring you the StarCraft action you've been waiting for. The final here at the World Cyber Games 2005, live at the Manhattan Center Studios, downtown New York. Let's get inside this game.
Let's do it.
Now, as you said, we're going to see both of these players spawn at the top right corner of the map here.
All right, we have Yosh starting at the north. He's Terran, while Day is going to be starting at the right. Now, as you can see, this is a common strategy for Zerg. Zerg's got his Overlord. He's going to send it to the north. Now, the Overlord can't attack. It's basically a farm. I mean, all it does is supply food.
But it is a good scout because it's a spawning mobile unit that he can use to just scout the map.
You're absolutely right, yeah. And as we can see, if any of you have ever played StarCraft, Terran Marines, they can fire in the air. So what he's going to do is he's going to fly in here, wait till he sees the barracks finish, and then fly right back out.
Luckily, the Terran aren't going to be able to get a barracks down early enough for Sean to get his Overlord over there and just take a peek and see what's going on. So he's going to have a little advantage here, flying that Overlord over, being able to check out his opponent's base and see what he's up to for a good majority of the map.
Now, I'm no Zerg player. I happen to be a Protoss one, but if I was Sean, the thing I'd probably be looking for is when the Terran's going to take his gas. If Terran takes his gas late, it means he wants more Marines. He's probably going to do some kind of rush, Marine rush, bunker rush, something like that. If he gets his gas early, he might be upgrading Marine attack, might be teching to Wraiths to kill Overlords. We'll have to see.
Now
Terran, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm just being curious here. Would it be feasible for Sean to run over and jack the Terran's Vespene gas geyser?
Believe it or not, this is a very good strategy. It happens all the time. The only concern, however, is if Terran has no intention to tech, and then he's wasted a drone on gas. And Zerg's not a race that can waste drones. As many of you may know, Zerg is a race where the drone turns into the building rather than the SCV building it. So every drone counts, especially in a rush. You'll see Zerg being very, very careful to not get behind at all and not lose a drone, because Terran, while they can make their drones continuously, Zerg have to wait for an impact. Very common strategy by Yosh. Another one of his creative moves. Zerg, in an attempt to expand, Terran built a supply depot where the expansion will be made. Now, notice he's going to cancel. He canceled it right there. He's not going to be behind at all. Day manages to kill the SCV. But this is a very uncomfortable position for Zerg. Zerg wants to get this hatchery up. The sooner the hatch gets up, the sooner the sunks get up, the sunken colonies.
We have our first Terran barracks going down, almost completed for Sherwin. He's going to have that finished just now, and he will be working on a second one immediately afterwards.
Looks like he's going to be doing some kind of rush. He's going to be comfortable with the rush. I normally, if they get the gas before if they don't get the gas, they have 2 barracks up. It means it's going to be some kind of Marine rush. SCV scouting now.
Now, if he wants to get medics to support those Marines, he's going to have to get an academy down quite quickly.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. However, most Terran rushes in these cases, okay, all right, we're going to see, all right, this could be a very short game, all right, Yosh's creativity already coming out. There's a possibility of a bunker rush coming up here. I see the Marine coming down to scout. It depends on where this SCV goes. If this SCV goes and builds a bunker next to his hatch, which it's not right now, it's scouting the main.
It looks like we're having Sean move some drones down to his lower expansion. He's going to bring those back just briefly, possibly trying to scare that Terran SCV off.
Yeah, as you saw, the Marine came out. I know personally, since I've been living with Sean, this was a strategy Sean had been trying very hard to counter his bunker rushes on this map. And a bunker rush is when an SCV comes to the Zerg's base, basically builds a bunker right about here while the hatchery's still building, and then puts the Marines inside of it and begins to shoot down the hatch.
We have some Marines for Sherwin rallying on the ramp. He is moving those 4 Marines now down to the lower part of the map.
As you can see, Terran's still trying to rush. He's got to be careful. While Marines are ranged attacking units, they can do very weak versus Zerglings, and if they're in small numbers.
Now you'll notice that Sean has that Overlord parked right beside that middle bridge, so he can see what kind of units that his opponent is bringing over when, and be prepared before they hit his base.
Yes, there are 2 bridges on this map. This is the one that's most accessible for either player to rush, but it's so narrow it's not easy to get across. There's a larger bridge at the bottom left corner of the screen, but like I said, it takes longer to get there. It's not very viable. It's not a viable thing to use.
Still producing and rallying those Marine units on the ramp. Sherwin preparing for a Marine rush here very shortly. We have a Terran factory going down, being produced by one of the SCVs, and we are in full production. A Vespene geyser has been tapped by Sherwin, and he is pulling gas out of that at a prominent rate.
As I've just now noticed, all right, Sherwin coming out. All right, Zergling's going around. All right, these Zerglings are going to try to get in his base. They want to see what we see right now, and what I'm seeing right now is an early factory. Early factory means fast tank push. Zergling, I don't know if the Zergling got in far enough to see the factory, but he did see the academy. He's going to know medics are on the way.
I think he may have just gotten far enough to see that factory has already been produced. He may not have seen the machine shop attached to it, but I'm pretty sure that Sean knows what his opponent Sherwin is up to. Those Marines being sent around the top left corner of the map, heading back towards midfield here.
I'm wondering if these guys are going to use the small bridge or the larger bridge at the bottom left.
I think we'll see a lot of use on the middle bridge here. Sherwin's been using that a lot earlier than Sean has, and we're seeing a lot of action being used on that bridge. Okay,
now what Terran's trying to do right now, I don't know if Day's going to succumb to it, is very common. I think he's trying to put a lot of pressure on Sean to make extra sunken colonies, as we can see. Like I said, every Zerg drone turns into a building, so if you force Zerg to make an extra sunken colony, you force him to waste a drone. He's moving his Marines around the map. Sean might think Sherwin's up to something, but really, Sherwin's got to wait until he's got a tank. All right, he's got the tank out. All right, I'm going to tell you what we're going to see up here. This tank's going to start moving pretty soon. The medic's going to meet with the Marines probably when siege mode completes, if it has already. I think a tank push is going to start on these sunken colonies.
Now, I haven't seen Sherwin use that scanning facility yet on Sean.
I think there's a very important reason for that as well. You have to remember, Terran's blind to this game. He doesn't know if Terran's going lurkers or mutalisks. It's always obvious that the Zerg player is going to get a layer. Zerg need higher tech units no matter what in order to combat Terran. But they have two options. They have lurkers, which are cloaked, or they have mutalisks, which are air attackers. So he's probably saving the scans in case the guy has lurkers.
Looks like we have 2 siege tanks available, a couple of medics to support those Marines that Sherwin has created.
I'm also noticing a lot of Zerglings in Day's main instead of his front. He's probably waiting for a drop to happen. We'll have to see.
Now, is it normal for Sean to create the massive amount of Zerglings that he has?
Well, I would say that Sean's one of the players out there that he just, in many of the games where he plays the top players, the players just get outproduced. StarCraft, unlike Warcraft 3, it's a very economic game. I mean, you can get so many units, and
so do you think Sean may take like a brute force macro kind of advance against his Terran?
Well, I suppose that's kind of the Zerg way of playing. I mean, Terran, their units are very strong and they got to stick together. They're a slow race, while Zerg is a very mobile one, but also very weak. He's just going to have to outnumber them.
We have 3 siege tanks down now.
Spire going up.
More Marines rallying on that ramp.
Yosh scanned the Spire, sees the lurkers in the main. Notice the 2 lurkers at the bridge. He's probably hoping to trap Yosh as he tries to make a quick rush across that bridge. Marines coming down in a line like that, they get shot to pieces.
It's also important to note that Sherwin is building his expansion command center in his main base and preparing to float that to his new expansion shortly.
What I'm seeing so far is Yosh tried to do some kind of early rush, decided to back off, realized Day was very comfortable with himself, and then opted to play very by the book. I gotta tell you, Yosh's style, known as meching against Zerg, is something that Sean's practiced against a lot. It's something I use a lot against him ever since I used to follow Yosh. And it looks like he decided that Medic Marine was the way to go.
The lower expansion of Sean looking quite healthy. He's got some sunken colonies there, able to help protect those drones mining those mineral patches.
Sean's 4th hatchery getting up. He opted for a 4th hatch in his main rather than his 4th hatch at his expansion. This means that Sean, from my own experience with him, is feeling very, very aggressive, has decided that expanding isn't going to be safe because whatever Sherwin has in his base is going to be enough to take out that expansion if we were to make it there.
It looks like Sean is moving some Zerglings down to the lower expansion spot in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, taking out a missile turret planted there by Sherwin.
That missile turret was probably just put there in case the guy tried to expand. Now, you've noticed it's been a very defensive game. Sean's basically scoping out Terran with his mutalisks, seeing what's going on. But unlike the game we saw earlier, these players are playing very cautious right now. They're both going to single player, but there's a lot of money on the line right now.
Those mutalisks taking pod shots
at that supply depot. It looks like this is a common thing to do by very strong Zerg players. He's going to try to force Terran to waste his stims. Every stim that Terran makes is that much less energy for when that final attack happens.
Do you think he's going to continue just to do some light harassment with those mutalisks to keep Sherwin occupied?
I think he's probably going to keep doing that light harassment until Sherwin puts up towers and wastes the money on it. Yeah.
We're seeing some siege tanks go down into siege mode in the expansion base here of Sherwin. He has moved on to that mineral patch just outside of his main base.
Now, Sherwin's playing it real safe here, but I got to say, pretty soon he's going to push out. He's going to have a lot of stuff, and we're going to see an intense battle. It doesn't look like there's a lot of stuff going on, but these players are analyzing everything the other guy's doing. They're playing it so safe right now. I'm actually amazed right now.
And you call that we do have one turret up by that supply depot that Sean was trying to take out. Sherwin says, you know what, I'm not going to let that happen again. We have the mutalisks moving in to try and finish it off.
He might get it anyways. But that's not going to put him behind by too much, but that's something to definitely annoy him. Something is definitely not, worth it.
And Sherwin says, you know what, you take one down, I'm going to put another one right up in its place. And he immediately begins to rebuild another supply depot just behind the turret he placed to protect his last.
Now, I've heard a lot of players criticize Sherwin as being a bit of a turtler. That's a player who he likes to stay in his base. He likes to camp. But for those of you who are more comfortable with first-person shooters, he's a guy who likes to sit back. He's going to build up a strong army, and he's going to wait until he knows it's the time to move out, and he's going to move out. Sean, on the other hand, he's a very, very aggressive player. For those of you that followed WCG last year, he was eliminated by the famous Korean Zelos, but made it all the way, knocking out huge players like Helgos from Brazil. He knocked out Iriador from Norway. These are two opposite styles, two very famous players. I mean, I can't wait for this game to pick up.
Sean has noticed the expansion of his opponent with those Mutalisks. He is currently camping the upper left corner minerals patches.
You notice these Scourge over here, these are ready for drop ships. He doesn't want Sherwin to send a drop into his main, start to do some damage, and then go around and kill his front expansion. Mutalisks starting to realize that they're not going to be able to do that much damage against this heavily defended player.
He's trying to move in and out with those Mutalisks, take the shots where he can. He doesn't want to just ride off the expense that he's used on those units. So he's trying to do with them what they can and save them and take just slowly take down the buildings that he can.
You know, if I was Sherwin right now, I'd probably be counting how many Mutalisks he has. I would want to be seeing, is he making more Mutalisks? Could he be checking the Guardians? Could he be getting Defilers? I mean, right now, obviously we've seen the Day has pretty much kept a consistent amount of Mutalisks. He's not going to do some kind of massive air tech with Guardians, Defilers. It looks like, as we can see over here, he hasn't gotten his Hive yet either. Sean's playing it. He's teching slow. He's playing it safe. He's waiting for Sherwin to do the first move. I mean, this has been a very defensive game.
We have a huge Zergling army moving down once again to that bottom right corner mineral patch as he takes down another missile turret and the SCV that has placed it there. And it looks like we do have some lurkers coming into play.
Queen's Nest coming up. This means we're going to count on seeing a Spire. Let me tell you something. I mean, I played a lot of Terran versus Zerg, and if there's one thing I don't like, it's when the Zerg gets their Hive up. I mean, they get Defilers, they get Ultralists, they get everything that Terran does not want. Zerg is not a race that can tech to one unit very, very fast. They have to play it slow. I mean, they have to stay economic. They have to start with the weak units and build up to the top ones. Terran's played it, very defensively. I'm hoping he gets his push out before the Hive comes up, because the Hive started now.
Sean using those Zerglings to patrol the map and take away any eyes that Sherwin has placed on the map for him. He's eliminated almost every missile turret that Sherwin has placed, just trying to keep him oblivious to what Sean is going to do next.
Yeah, as we can see, Sean's still not getting any extra Mutalisks. This has been the backbone of keeping Sherwin at bay right now, flying around. He's going to pick off this SCV over here. It might have been set up for an expansion. Okay, now he's going to get it again.
He's using those Mutalisks to clear off the far left mineral patch yet again, and I hear a battle taking place.
All right, Sherwin tried to build a tower out there. I think he's going to get ready to start doing the push. Now notice that this map, it's split in half diagonally. I mean, there's this river that goes through the map. I mean, it's pretty clear whose territory, and neither player is very comfortable coming into the other guy's place in case he gets surrounded or crushed.
Nick, it almost feels like both of these players are holding back.
I would have to agree, but there's a lot of money online. I think if there's one thing that my worst experiences in tournaments have always been losing the first game and having to come back and win the next two. I think this game's very important for both players.
It looks like we have 12 lurkers in midfield.
All right, looks like the push is starting. Looks like Yosh is finally moving out. He's decided that now is the time to strike. Let's see if the Zerg has any higher tech buildings yet. Not quite.
It looks like Sean is going to move those Mutalisks in with his lurker Zergling army, waiting at that upper bridge, and both teams...
He's going to use his Mutalisks to kill this SCV. He doesn't want him to get an expansion up. He just wants to buy as much time as possible, but looks like Sherwin's already on top of it. He's got the towers up here. Move this SCV out of the way.
Both of these players have staged their armies across the middle bridge here.
To be honest, I've never seen such a defensive game. I can't wait for... I can't wait to see what's going to happen next. I mean, they're really starting to get every unit here. I could see Day is just not going to be comfortable attacking an army this size. I mean, you've got the Irradiate over here from the science vessels. That's definitely going to mess up the air units. All right, looks like Day's got his Ultralisk cavern up. We're going to see a massive amount of Ultralisk. That's something Terran does not like to see.
We've got a couple bunkers built just in between the Terran side of the map here, the upper and lower bridges.
A lot of Scourge here. Those Scourge are going to be used primarily to hit the science vessels. As most of you know, science vessels are detecting units. They're the ones that can see the lurkers burrow underground. It's not uncommon to have a massive army of Zerglings come in here with the lurkers. Lurkers burrow underground, and all the Scorch hit all the science vessels at Terrence blind. He gets shot down by every lurker.
And we have 4 expansions now as Sean puts up his 4th hatchery in the bottom left corner of the map here.
Okay, this is a very important moment in the game. This is the only expansion that both players essentially share. It's the bottom left corner of the map. And I mean, then after this expansion, there's really not that much more they can take. If you look at the map, these players are taking up the entire map. This is going to be a dramatic.
I'm waiting for the final battle to ensue here. I mean, it's going to be an incredible battle taking place here. The lurkers of Ashan have been moved down to protect that lower mineral deposit.
Now you have to remember, lurkers at angles like that can just destroy Marines at an infinite number like this. He's going to need to get his tanks, and I don't think Terran's going to want to push in an area that size. I'm interested in seeing what Sherwin's response is going to be. All right, we see the tanks moving down. I'm wondering if they're going to come down here and just try to close off this bridge as he's doing over here with the towers, or if he's going to try to come over here and begin the push.
We have several Scourge staged just outside of that lower mineral deposit. I wonder if, just yet, that Sherwin knows Sean has moved down to that bottom left expansion spot.
My bet would be, you know, Sherwin's got a scanner at every expansion. I mean, although we can't see it, Sherwin's probably scanning his Sean's base every 20, 30 seconds at least. I mean, I'm fairly sure he probably has a good idea.
Well, I was thinking maybe if he didn't know that Sean could be setting up to ambush him when he moves down to take that expansion for himself.
That's a very interesting idea. I don't know. We're going to see in a second here. I mean, he clearly made the bunker at that bottom left corner. I mean, he sees that there's an access point from there for Zerg.
We have some siege tanks going down in siege mode just to the north here. Push.
Now this is going to be very difficult for him to break. All right, we got a lot of Scourge over here.
Science vessels coming in.
Right, I do not want to be in that dropship right now, that's for sure.
We have the science vessels coming in. The lurkers have been
burrowed, but you know, lurkers don't outrange tanks. So he's irradiating the lurkers. He's got to get these guys out of here. He wants to get those guys out of here.
Scourge attacking the science vessels to keep his lurkers close.
Both of the players are just starting to get very uncomfortable. I mean, they are face to face, as you can see there. They have the whole map. I mean, they're all right. All these vessels all irradiating the lurkers. You decide to see if they can come in here and kill that tank. Doing it. No, this lurker, yeah, that was not the best life to live.
That irradiation was absolutely nasty.
All right, Zerg, come in here. He's breaking through. He's decided here's the point.
Coming in.
Also, Zerg is going through both bridges. Terrence sieged up everywhere. Can he hold it? Massive amount of fire
chaos.
Zerg breaking through everywhere, going up to the top expansion.
A siege tank down, a second siege tank down.
This is not going to be good for this expansion. There's a radiated Ultralisk killing all these SCVs. He's got to lift off.
Sean slowly clearing out the Terran on the left-hand side of the map here. It looks like we are down to 2 science
Terran counterattacking, trying to kill this last expansion. Now remember, Zerg always want to be up in expansions, even though the map looks like Zerg might be winning. Zerg, I mean, as most Zerg players feel most comfortable when they have about half the map. The other player only has 1 expansion.
Ultralisk and Zergling versus Firebats. Firebats are going to lose that battle. The Ultralisk working on the bunker now.
Both units almost fully upgraded.
We have another lurker sank on the left side of the map here, trying to take out the Marines and medics.
Looks like Yosh should be able to hold this off, as long as he keeps producing units the way he was. All right, hatchery down at the bottom of the expansion.
It looks like we have a medic Marine push at the bottom left expansion as well. Those will be finished off by a Zerg Ultralisk.
I don't know if Terran can hold this. Look at all these Ultralisks.
They're absolutely annihilating.
I think Yosh might have waited too long. I think he thought he could hold more than he actually could. I mean, look at the massive number they producing this. Look, I mean, there's eggs everywhere making. I mean, while this attack's going, I mean, we're talking about the fastest Zerg player outside of Korea. I mean, he's producing. While we're watching this, every few seconds when he's making one of these hatcheries, producing Ultralisk, a Zergling, or a Sport.
We have 8 Ultralisk now attacking the command center expansion.
They already building that expansion.
Lifted off just in time. 229 left and burning. We have some science vessels coming in to irradiate.
All right. This is a rather embarrassing moment for Terran. This rarely ever happens in tournaments. Zerg has infested the Terran's command center. A very difficult move to pull off, as it's rarely ever used, even on TV in Korea.
So we now have an infested command center for Sean.
Could even make infested Terrans. While Yosh has a massive amount of vessels, I just don't think he can hold this up. I mean, this is like playing the campaign missions on StarCraft. I mean, the Zerg's just slowly walking over the Terran. I don't know what they're going to be able to do to make it.
It looks like Sean has cornered now his opponent Sherwin down to the first expansion and his main base. His main base has absolutely nothing protecting it, just waiting for those Ultralists to come in. They have 5 siege tanks down just in front of the ramp.
This is not a comfortable position to be in. I'm telling you. I mean, I don't know how much longer Yosh is going to be able to come in here. Unless Yosh can do something crazy, which he is known for, I think this game's over.
Ultralisk and Zerglings coming in to take out those siege tanks. One is down. A second siege tank is down. Ultralisk doing heavy damage to fire bats and medics both. A third siege tank falls, a fourth and a fifth, and there are absolutely no defenses left. Good games exchanged by both players. Nicely done. Excellent gameplay.
Very impressive game by both players. I haven't seen a game like that in the tournament. Both of them just kept building up and kept building up. I wouldn't be surprised if they wouldn't. They literally could not make any more units because they had so much. We're going on to the second game now. I believe that's on...
the second map will be played on Estrella.
On Estrella, the island map. This should be very interesting to watch. I'm curious to see what Yosha has in store for Sean coming up here.
That was a fantastic map played by the Zerg.
That was a fantastic game. I was a little bit surprised that Yosh didn't push earlier. I was beginning to think that I'd be pretty uncomfortable if I was in Terran's shoes.
I think we need to exit here and rejoin as observers.